Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into the book of Isaiah, specifically 6 really powerful chapters. We're going to unpack this incredible message of redemption that unfolds while the people of Israel are in exile in Babylon. It's quite a story.
All right, here's our roadmap. We're going to walk through Isaiah 43, Called by Your Name, then chapter 44 on the living God. After that, we'll see how God anoints a foreign king in 45 and what it means to be carried from birth in 46. Then we'll witness the fall of Babylon in 47, and finally, look at the furnace of affliction in chapter 48. It's a journey from a very personal promise all the way to the fate of an entire empire. Let's get into it.
So first up is chapter 43, Called by Your Name. And this really gets to the heart of it all. It's God's personal promise of redemption. This isn't some generic blanket statement. It's a message of comfort and hope aimed directly at a people who are really struggling.
Wow, right out of the gate, you can feel the tone here. This is so personal. It's not just you people, it's I have called thee by thy name. The message is just crystal clear. Even when you're in the middle of this terrible exile, you haven't been forgotten. You belong to him.
And look at this promise of protection. He doesn't say you'll never walk through fire or water. No, he says when you do, I will be with thee. The trials are real, but his presence and protection are even more real. It just goes to show how much he values his people.
And then comes this huge pivot point. Behold, I will do a new thing. He's basically telling them, stop looking at the past. What's coming next is something totally new, something unprecedented. It's like a new Exodus. He's going to forge a path through the wilderness and make rivers flow in the desert. It's all about future restoration. Okay, so moving into chapter 44, we get this theme of the living God. And it's all about the folly of idolatry. After that really personal promise in 43, Isaiah draws this incredibly sharp, you could even say satirical line between the one true God and all the lifeless idols people were worshiping.
So the chapter basically asks this fundamental question: who is the one true God? It's a direct challenge. After God just laid out how much he cares for them, he now says, okay, now you need to be my witnesses. Tell the world there's no one like me.
And this lays it out perfectly. The contrast couldn't be more stark. You've got the Lord who says, I am the first and I am the last, who actively pours out his Spirit. And then you have idols, things made by men that can't see, can't know, can't do anything. They're just nothing.
This is where Isaiah just brilliantly breaks down the absurdity of it all. Think about it. A guy cuts down a tree. He uses part of it to warm himself and cook his food, and then he takes the leftover piece, carves it into a shape and prays to it, deliver me. I mean, you're asking for salvation from your firewood. It's such a powerful way to show how pointless it is to trust in something you made with your own hands.
All right, now get ready for a major plot twist in chapter 45, Anointing a Foreign King. This is all about God's sovereignty over history. Just when you think you've got the plan figured out, God says he's going to use a complete outsider, a non-Israelite king, to get the job done.
And he doesn't just use them. He calls this king, Cyrus of Persia, his anointed, his Mashiach. Now you got to understand, that word was a huge deal. It was reserved for Israel's own kings and priests. To give that title to a foreign ruler, that was absolutely stunning, maybe even scandalous. It was a clear signal that God's power isn't confined to one nation.
And in this verse, God is speaking directly to Cyrus. And he doesn't pull any punches. He says, I am the Lord, I girded thee though thou hast not known me. It's like he's saying, you might not know me, Cyrus, but I'm the one who gave you your power. I'm the one pulling the strings of history. It's an incredible declaration of control.
So what's the ultimate goal in all this? It's not just about getting Israel out of Babylon. The bigger plan is to show the entire world who's really in charge. The end game is that every knee shall bow, every tongue shall swear. This is about universal authority for all people, for all time. This brings us to chapter 46, Carried from Birth. And this is such a beautiful image, a God who carries versus gods who have to be carried. The theme of God's power versus the powerlessness of idols continues, but here it's painted with this really simple, powerful metaphor.
So first, picture this. Babylon is falling. And what's happening to their great gods, Bel and Nebo? They're being packed up, loaded onto weary animals. They're just dead weight, a burden that has to be hauled away into captivity. They can't even save themselves.
But then, in total contrast, God says to Israel, I'm the one who carries you. From the very beginning, from birth all the way to old age, I will carry and will deliver you. It's just this incredible picture of a God who isn't a burden, but a bearer. He's the one who supports his people.
And now the lens shifts. Big time. We go from that caring image of God to chapter 47, which is all about the fall of Babylon. This is a prophecy of judgment against the very empire that was so arrogant and proud.
So why is Babylon going to fall? Isaiah lays out the charges very clearly. First, insane arrogance. They literally said, "I am and none else beside me." Second, extreme cruelty. They showed no mercy to the people they conquered. And third, they put all their trust in sorcery and their astrologers, not in any real power.
And the judgment for all this pride? It's not a slow decline. The prophecy says it's going to happen in a moment, suddenly. They'll lose everything, their children, their status. Just sudden, complete desolation. All their magic and sorcery won't be able to stop it.
And that brings us to our final chapter in this journey, Isaiah 48, the furnace of affliction. Here, the focus comes right back to Israel, and it's a bit of a tough message, a call to refined obedience. It's a rebuke, for sure, but it also offers a way forward. God really doesn't hold back here. He calls them out for their stubbornness, describing it as a neck of iron and a brow of brass. He's reminding them of their history of rebellion and says, "Look, I told you all this would happen ahead of time, so you couldn't turn around and give the credit to your idols."
And this verse right here is so important. "I have refined thee in the furnace of affliction." What does that mean? It means their time in exile wasn't about destroying them. It was about purifying them. Like a blacksmith uses fire to purify metal, this painful experience was meant to burn away their idolatry and strengthen their faith. Painful, yes, but for a purpose.
So after all the rebuke, the promises, the refining, it all leads to this, a command to go forth of Babylon with a voice of singing. The trial is over, it's time to leave. Not with their heads down, but singing, proclaiming to everyone that God has kept his promise and redeemed them.
And these 6 chapters close with this really profound, almost bittersweet thought from God. He says, "Oh, if you had only listened to me, your peace would have been like a river." It's this final reflection that leaves you thinking, doesn't it? It connects obedience not to just rule following, but to this deep, flowing peace. It's a timeless idea to reflect on in our own lives.